Hey YouTube, Sam here. Well, time for another project. Unfortunately, the last time I went plowing with this, not only did the plow quit staying up because something's messed up in the mechanism down there, but my tractor actually broke down. It started whining really bad and then making grinding noises, and I believe it's out of the rear end because the motor seems to still be running fine. So I'm assuming the rear end in this thing at the very least is going to need changed out or some new gears or something. And I don't know what year this thing is, but I'm sure it's not going to be easy to find stuff. So we're going to dig into it and try and make something out of it again. I'm going to keep it a tractor. It's not going to turn into a hot rod or anything like that. Although I'm never going to mow with it again or anything like that, but I am going to plow, and I do pull trailers and things like that with it. But I've always called it, because it's an old Montgomery Ward tractor, I've always called it full Monty. Look that up if you don't know why. It's kind of funny. But anyways, so we're going to call this project full Monty, and we'll see where it goes from here. And the first thing I'm going to do is pull this thing off of here. Now I have a video, I believe, on how I kind of turned this into a snowplow tractor. This tractor is actually for a snowplow is actually for a Craftsman tractor. So I had to kind of modify it to work with my stuff, and I think some of the stuff got bent out of whack down there. This is probably a little heavy for the frame, so at some point I am definitely going to have to do some reinforcement up here. But for right now, like I said, I have a video on this already, so you can go check that out, but I'm just going to go ahead and pull this off. We're going to get it up in the air in the rear end, and I got this back piece off here. I took the seat off, the front end's off. I think that might have been off, not just the front body panels anyway. Well, last time I was working on this, I can't exactly remember. But now we got the whole back section off here, and I really didn't do a lot of videoing for two reasons. I ran out of room on my SD cards, and I needed to get some stuff uploaded, and I'm having trouble with my computer. The other reason, because really I didn't take this off like you should. I would have had to completely take all this stuff off, because I've welded this all in kind of solid. And so I want this bar right here, I'm going to bolt back in, and so I cut those off, and I need some of these pieces just to kind of strengthen this again to keep this good and strong. And I'm going to have to probably fortify that a little bit more as it is. And so I kind of want to keep some of this stuff, but not all of it. I'm going to cut some of this up, so I won't be able to use this part anymore anyway. So then I started just kind of grinding parts off that I didn't need, just to make it easier. And unbolting it, all the bolts were rusted and not wanting to come apart and needing ground off anyway. So got things out of my way. I need to pop the ends off this, pull this out. Now something else on the tires here. These came out real easy. Pull these all the way out, and I don't quite understand how these hubs work, so I'm gonna have to figure that out next, because I really want to get these back tires off of here to get them out of my way of the rear end here, so I can get a better look out of it. But anyhow, if you're like me, that doesn't seem to have much to do with whether or not your rear end comes off of there, so I'm gonna have to take a better look. I'm hoping this isn't like pressed on here or something like that. And we're down underneath here. Can't get these tires off, and from the looks of it, nothing but heat and a whole bunch of other stuff is going to get them off. So I'm figuring I'm just going to take it down with tires and all on the rear end, probably make it a little bit more difficult, but so far I've been able to get everything. First of all, there's two bolts on each side right here going up, and behind the tire there's a couple of nuts on there going up into the frame. They're 1/2 inch on mine anyway. And then there's a spring right here that goes into this hole right here, which goes down and over to the brake in the front of the tire right here, and that's the brake. And yours probably won't have this big giant washer on here, so I had actually put this big giant washer and nuts and bolts through the frame here to kind of hold this side of the brake on, because this whole piece right in here, I think it's a cast piece, was all busted underneath there. And that's actually worked really well since I've owned this tractor. I haven't had any problems with it. Now the spring, which I took off that was hooked to the frame there, there's this big spring here that goes up into the brake pedal and that hooks back there. That's where the other end of that spring was hooked, is in the hole right there where that spring is, to kind of, I guess, bring it back the other way a little better. But anyway, so I'm going to have to pull this whole mechanism off, which you won't have to deal with. And then honestly, I don't remember exactly. I think there's a bolt right here that I pull off, and I think that whole mechanism will actually come away from the transmission. I'm not sure. If not, I'll come back at you. Right there, and on the other side there's bolts. They hook to these straps right here, and quite honestly I'm unhooking them from above because there's only one there. There's a couple on the bottom, and one of them down there is kind of that mangled thing that I have for my brakes. So I'm going to try and take it off from up here and hope it all slides down through. But I believe there's those two, the four that actually directly bolt kind of to the axle area there, and then the brake mechanism you got to undo. And I think I have it where I can start pulling it down. I got it all hooked up with the jack here. Now this is obviously one of those places where if you do anything I do and you hurt yourself or mess up your equipment, I'm not responsible. If you don't like the way I'm doing it, don't do it. I'm going to try and move this over a little bit. I have a feeling this is probably just going to hit the ground running here in a little bit, but it's got tires on it, they'll bounce. Just want to make sure that the frame ends up back on the jacks here. Keep your toes out of the way. Whoa. And the front end's heavy, so I have it supported pretty close to the front, but somewhere here it decided to fall off. Alright, well, I'm going to fix that, and it's out. Well, YouTube, as you can see in front of me, I got a lot of parts and pieces and things here, and as of now, editing these videos, this is going to just be way too long to make one video out of. So there's going to be at least probably 3, maybe more videos just on doing this tractor to get it back going again. That's not counting what I'd like to do with it in the future. But anyhow, mostly the rear end, there's just too much involved, and as most of you know, I don't do these videos for people who already know what's here and what they're going to do. I make these videos for people who are looking for the information on how to do it. So therefore, to make it as in-depth as it needs to be, it's just going to make too long a video. So we're going to call this a video. Keep an eye out for the next one. And this is Sam, Jack of all, Master of none. You all have a good one.